Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming tonight. This is very exciting. The reason that we're here is because we're concerned voters, we're concerned constituents, and we're worried about some of the things that we see taking place in our political system right now.
We've had over 100 constituents volunteer to attend his offices here in Austin and request that he attend this town hall tonight. Sadly, we have not heard a response. So this is a last chance effort. Congressman McCaul, you are now hereby requested to attend this stage and hear the voices of your constituents.
Thank you for taking the time to hear from your constituents. I hope that we can rely on you to take our concerns back to Washington and amplify our voices. Like many here, I'm fearful of what will happen if ACA is repealed without a well-thought-out, robust replacement ready to go.
Repeal of the ACA, which you, Representative McCaul, have advocated and voted for repeatedly, will put even more pressure on rural hospitals in our district across the great state of Texas and around the country.
Perhaps you don't understand how the ACA affects so many Americans. In 2003, our 23-year-old son was attacked and left for dead. By the time he reached emergency, the hospital staff declared him dead. A surgeon nevertheless removed both sides of his skull, relieving the built-up pressure, and he lives with traumatic brain injury. His hospital bills exceeded $200,000. Without the ACA, he would not be able to afford his 3 necessary medicines. Representative McCaul, Congress has done nothing to rein in the egregious pharmacy bills. I hope you understand that most Americans with pre-existing conditions do not have this pot of gold savings that you talk about.
My father was a career enlisted man. My mother worked for the base exchange. They just barely kept us off government assistance, so my only choice for after-school care was the youth center. By many estimates, the federal government is at its lowest level of employment since the 1950s, and agencies are struggling to meet their missions and help American people. What I'd like to know is, what are you going to do to end this hiring freeze? How are you going to protect the youth programs and the other valuable government offerings like them from proposed arbitrary attrition from the Trump administration and Speaker Ryan? Thank you.
Deportations and a border wall are expensive, ineffective, and unnecessary. These efforts create fear and confusion, and they remove the valuable members of our community. I was a public school teacher in Austin for many years, and the students I taught who were immigrants, both documented and undocumented, were some of the hardest working, most appreciative, well-behaved students I have ever taught.
This week, I was asked by a friend of my family's to serve as her power of attorney in the case that she and her 2-year-old daughter would be detained. She needed to know that someone could pick up her 2-year-old daughter, who's an American citizen, from the detention center. Further, she asked that if she was deported, that I could take her daughter to Mexico City to join her. I ask you, how could you possibly justify the separation of families, the separation of this possible separation of this mother and this daughter, when all she ever wanted to do was the most American thing ever, which was to be here, work, and to have a family? Yeah. Thank you.
What's to stop ICE from randomly stopping brown people, from harassing them, or even deporting them? Also, with the increased deporting of adults, what will happen to children if their parents are deported?
You have defended Trump's actions on immigration policy and enforcement. Is this still your position? And if this is still your position, how do you reconcile this with Christian values?
I am old enough to remember when Nixon announced from the White House that people have got to know whether their president is a crook. So Representative McCaul, I am glad that you have said that you support investigations into the Trump campaign and transition teams' contacts with Russians. But that is not enough to reassure the American people that President Trump is acting solely in the interest of the American people and not in his own personal financial interest.
Can you, Congressman McCaul, assure us that this administration's weak approach to Russia will not backfire, and that the President of the United States of America is not in their pocket or in collusion with Putin to undermine our democracy?
I would simply like to ask the Congressman when he is going to make a public statement about the President's tax returns.
I'm not a paid liberal activist. I'm a concerned voting independent who considers himself a compassionate conservative and has voted for many conservatives, including you, along the way. I need to tell you I have never been more concerned about the future of America and the world we live in at any time in my life. Religious bans, rounding up law-abiding immigrants, detention camps, mass deportations, and wired walls and fences are counter to all American values and Judeo-Christian values. Based upon these messages spewing from the White House, it should come as no surprise that you are now witnessing a dramatic rise in hate crimes in the United States against mosques, synagogues, immigrants, LGBT people, and women. These hate crimes are not coming from outside our walls, but from within. Please, Congressman, let we the people, all of us, continue to dream and welcome other dreamers. Remember, sir, this is America the Beautiful.
Hi, Representative McCaul. I'm so excited to be here and meet you, and I have so many things I want to tell you. Oh, wait a second.